Congratulations on the film.
Thanks.
It's been a lot of fun to watch, and I'm just curious, what would you say as art director was your biggest accomplishment on this film?
Getting it done in time. In all honesty, I mean, it was a very ambitious thing to build in that time frame. It's not an everyday object, and it's not something that I as an art director or Alec. I mean, Alec, the designer, had some previous experience. He did an airplane movie with well, I forget what it was called a couple years ago. But at any rate, but for me, it was a real learning curve figuring out how all these pieces go together and what they all mean, and doing that in without several weeks of research and getting it together. It was sort of like it all landed all at one time, and figuring out how to get those pieces, parts, components brought in on time was the biggest challenge for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and was the plane this? Did you want this plane the movie takes place on to look like any other plane that people, or did you want it to represent like the what's like technologically speaking current?
We didn't want to model it specifically off of another plane because, I mean, for starters, I think that we probably would have run into copyright problems or infringement problems if we had deliberately made an airplane crash or potential airplane crash movie out of a real airplane. But we also wanted it to feel contemporary. You can go out into the Mojave Desert and you can buy old airplanes and ship them to New York and shoot an airplane movie on them. But we wanted it to feel very current to the audience, who has an anticipation of getting on a, whatever, Virgin America, and they've got all the bells and whistles, and they've got the toys, and they've got the nice lighting, and they've got all these things that people come to think of as contemporary air travel. So we very much wanted to do that.
Great. Yeah, I was sort of wondering, a lot of filmmakers, they want to make things timeless or like current. So was there like ever a challenge in like sort of balancing those two elements out?
I don't think so. No, I mean, I think it was very deliberate. We want this to be contemporaneous, and let's drive that home. We're not picking up anything old. Let's do this. Let's do it new.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that's why we built it. We built the whole thing. One of the reasons was that we could do that. You can't just go and get an old well, you can go get an old airplane,
right.
But you can't just go get a new one.
That's
so we had to make our own.
Yeah, no, that definitely shows. Because the screens in front of everything are great, because that's what I remember from my last airplane ride to England.
Right.
And we just had a look at the behind the scenes angles and the way it was shot and everything. And I mean, did the aisles had to be sort of positioned in a certain way so that the cameras could move back and forth?
Correct.
And did the confinement of the space, did that make things difficult, or did that inspire you more creatively?
I think it was a creative challenge. It's hard to get all of that stuff and the functionality of a camera crew into a tight space, and to allow Jama to not have to say no, to not have to say, I can't put a camera there, I'm sorry, or we have to cut a hole in the wall to make this happen. So it was a design challenge, and we really embraced it.
Yeah.
So.
It definitely shows from what we saw earlier, just with all the behind-the-scenes photos. That's just great.
Yeah, it was fun. It
Yeah.
was a really fun job in that respect. It was terrifying at times, but really fun.
I imagine, yeah.
So
Great. Well, thank you
Cool.
very much for your time, man.
Thanks very much, man.